So how do we align to the various 2x2 formations? We're going to teach the basic foundation of the defense using the positions and the alignments. So starting out with the balanced alignment. One of the things that we're going to look at with this defense, we'll talk about the positions in just a moment, but we always look for the offense and are they balanced, yes or no? So if I look at this scenario, I've got two receivers on either side of the ball, which we've talked about, and what I see here is one back in the backfield and he is aligned straight back. So we would call this a balanced alignment, meaning that the offense is completely balanced. There's two on each side and there is no offset with our back. He's balanced directly behind the center. So what we're going to talk about is how do we align to that balanced backfield. Number one, we're going to be in what we call a basic 4-0-4 alignment. All right, what we're talking to is we have two defensive ends here. We have a nose guard and we have a mic. Now everything on our defense is color-coded and we do that for a reason. Number one is anyone in red is only responsible for the run 100% of the time. Those gentlemen are responsible only for the run or pass rush when they read pass. So those are our run stoppers, as we call them, and that's why we put them in red. You'll notice that Mike here is our middle linebacker, is in a 0-0 alignment. When he gets a 0, he lines up in a 0-0, meaning that he's directly behind the center. So if you're not familiar with the techniques, I will talk about that very briefly. We're going to line up in what we call head-up alignments, 0 being on the center, 2 would be on the guards, 4 would be on the tackles. So for us, it's very easy, very basic, 0-2-4, 0-2-4. So when we call a 4-0-4 alignment, we're asking our ends to be head up on the tackle, our nose guard to be head up on the center, and our end to be head up on the tackle, 4-0-4. Anytime we add a second number to it, we're asking the mic to be off the line of scrimmage in a 0 technique, and that's where we get the 0-0 technique from. So for our defensive line here, 4-0-4 technique with mic in a 0-0. As we get into some different alignments, we'll talk about the remaining numbering techniques that we use. So those are our defensive players in red. Our ends, our nose, and our mic. Again, red means that they're run stoppers. That's their job. They're responsible for the run. You'll see the end is in a 4. As we mentioned, our nose is in a 0, and our mic is in a 0-0 here in this alignment. To the blue, we've got buck and wild. All right, we call our buck the B, our wild is a W. Those are our outside linebacker type of players. All right, they are in 40 techniques. Again, we talked about what a 4 meant. 4 meaning head up on the tackle. A 40 would mean that they are off the ball, lined up, head up on the tackle. So essentially we're in a 3-3 stack. One of the most common questions I get from people when they talk about this defense is, what is the base? What's the foundation? Are you a 3-3, a 3-4? The answer is no, we're nothing. We are whatever they give us. So we're going to get into that now. But if you were to look at this base alignment in a 2x2, you would probably call us a 3-3-5 or a 3-3 stack. And I don't know that I would call us that, and you're going to see why in just a few minutes. So our buck and wild, they are responsible for run most of the time. Their number one job is to look for run. Their second job, however, as we mentioned, is in their 40s. They're going to be looking for the third receiver out of the backfield. In this case, the number 3 receiver, if we count from the outside in, 1, 2, 3, wild would be responsible for number 3 out of the backfield. So if this back swings this way, wild would be responsible for him. If it comes this way, 1, 2, 3, there's our third in the backfield. Buck would be responsible for that back if he were to flare out this way. So there's his number 3. That is his pass responsibility if we read pass. But for the most part, we want these 6 gentlemen to play run as much as they can. So that would be our buck and wild or outside linebackers. The next part is what we call our safeties, which we name smash and rock. Our safeties are in tight man on the number 2 receiver. So you'll count again from the outside in, number 1, number 2. Our rock is on the number 2 receiver here, and our smash is on the number 2 receiver here. All right, those are responsible for pass most of the time. They're about 90% pass. They will have, when they read run, they may come up and help out on the run, but they don't have a run responsibility. They are mainly a pass player. So they are lined up, as we said, in number 2 on tight coverage. There's our rock and our smash. And the last but not least, we've got our defensive backs, our corners. Corners are in press man on the number 1 or outside receiver. So again, you'll see the outside receiver here. Our corners are in press man, and we are in press coverage. We want to disrupt the offensive pattern and timing. So our corners are in press man all the time, every time, as much as we can. All right, press man that disrupts all the timing. We want to make sure that we get a jam on those receivers and disrupt every one of the routes that they've run with timing.